Hello, welcome to our special broadcast, Ground Talkies. And our guest of today is from Greece, the country of God. Our main motive is to motivate the youth generation to get successful in their life. So today we are with Dr. Alkistis Agio, who is the author, host, coach, leadership trainer, and the doctor as well. She has well-known clients like Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, Hollywood stars, and many more VIP clients. So today we are going to start our interview session with Alkistis. Alkistis, welcome to our show, Ground Talkies.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. Nice to meet you as well. Thank you so much for being on the show, Ground Talkies, and it's our pleasure to host you today. So I want to give you a short overview about our session. Like it will be kind of a friendly session. We will be having a candid conversation today. We will be going to discuss about your life journey and how you can give us a motivational message for the youth.
Sure.
So Alkistis, please give us a overview about your background and short overview how you have achieved so much and how you have reached to this level.
Okay, so I started off my career in banking. I studied corporate finance, international banking. I worked in a banking job in Barclays Bank, a British bank. Mainly, I admit it now, was to please my father. My father saw that I was a good student, and he said, you know, you should go into banking and finance for security. You know, he himself was in a banking career, and like most parents, you know, they want their child to be a doctor, a lawyer, a bank employee. And I wanted to please him. I was a young lady at the time. But as I worked in this job, I saw that it didn't fit me. It just didn't match my character. I very much enjoyed when they gave us trainings. I was on a leadership training program, and I thought to myself, I'd like to be the trainer. I projected myself and I said, I'd like to train like the way I'm being trained now. And so I thought, I have to leave this job. So I took up the courage to leave the job. And this displeased my father immensely. We had a huge argument. Basically, I left the home. I was living with my parents at the time, even if I was older, as some people do in India or here in Greece, we live with our parents. So I really broke away from my security. My father said, leave the house. I've done all I can for you, and you disgraced me by leaving the bank. So it was very dramatic and very, very disheartening. And I really didn't exactly know how I was ever going to be a leadership trainer. I didn't have a plan, as it's something I don't recommend for other people to do. I recommend you plan your exit, months in advance. So I left with about $1,000 in my pocket. That might seem a lot for India. In Europe, it's not a lot of money. And I just took a backpack. I started trekking. I took a plane to Istanbul, and I toured throughout all of Turkey to the ancient sites. I just kind of wanted a break, like a holiday of sorts. And when I got to the border with Iran and Syria over there on the east, my money, basically was nearly running out. So I followed a group of Italians who were going to Rome. And I ended up in Rome, found myself a job teaching English. This was the only thing I knew how to do. Having been raised in Canada, my English was quite clear and good for Europeans anyway. And I started teaching English. I didn't know how I was going to become a management trainer. Teaching English brought me to teaching English to business people. You know how business people want to learn negotiation skills and presentation skills in English, I began to teach executives English. So this started getting me in this whole game of leadership training and management training. And I felt very comfortable. I really felt that I found myself. This was my calling. This was where I was going to grow. So I began training famous other people's, material, like Dale Carnegie. Perhaps you've heard of Dale Carnegie, the famous bestseller, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I began to teach Tony Robbins material from NLP. I began to teach all the American guru stuff, But then I realized that a lot of these American gurus, they draw from Greek philosophy. They always mention Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, as they often also mention, Indian philosophers as well. So I thought, I'm going to make my own method, my own system. And that's when I came up with my method, which is a combination of Greek philosophy plus everything we know about the brain, like neuro coaching. So it's an integration of Greek philosophy and neuro coaching. It's very ancient, but modern too. And this is my method. I've been teaching it for several years now, and my clients are mainly executives, CEOs, some celebrities too.
So we will be going to discuss that very soon. So
I invented my own system based on all my experience, 20 years experience, created
amazing.
my own system.
That's really sounds good. And you have done lots of things in your life, and from traveling to teaching, from leadership coach, lots of other stuff. And I've heard about your book called Fear to Freedom. So what kind of fear it is?
Okay, so this is the book cover for my friends who haven't seen it. Fear to Freedom, the 3 golden principles of Greek philosophy for self-leadership. So fear is the basis of everything that you have in terms of toxic emotions, okay? You have, when you're angry, usually the root is a fear. When you're insecure, the root is a fear. When you have anxiety attacks, again, the root is fear. Fear is like the basic emotion. All the other things you're feeling are just the many faces of fear. So that's why a lot of things are about fear.
I think this is your book also available on Amazon.com as well.
Yes, it's on Amazon.
That's
So
great.
any fear that you feel through, anything that is moving you in that's drawing your energy, that's stressing you, the basic is fear. And the thing you have to stop yourself at that time is, what's my fear? Like if you feel yourself getting angry, you have to turn around to yourself and ask yourself, what am I fearing now? Let's be honest. What's my real fear? Everything comes back to fear.
That's a very good thing you have told me. Like otherwise, most of the guys, like married guys, have fear from their wife.
Right, we're afraid. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of losing our image. We're afraid of being disrespected. So we're afraid of our mother-in-law, our father-in-law. There's a lot of excuses to be afraid. So I think that's why I named my book From Fear to Freedom. Now, my book promises this transformation, the transformation from fear to freedom.
So the people who are watching this video, if you have a fear from your wife or from your in-laws, then you should read her book, Fear to Freedom, as well.
Sure. Well, even if they don't read it, they can download the free summary from my website. I offer a free summary of my method. And within 20 minutes, you can move from fear to freedom using this step-by-step process. Once you learn this method, then you can flip a switch. You can go from fear to freedom instantly. And mainly, you know, it has to do with how we are perceiving something. See, it's not the thing that's bothering us. It's not what your wife is saying or what your boss is saying. It's how you're perceiving it. It's how your perspective that's causing you anger and fear. It's not the thing itself, because someone else who listens to the same woman speaking could laugh, could give her a hug, could do something different than what you're doing or what I'm doing.
Yeah, to bring a positive change in your life, I will say this book is for those people. If you want a
Yes,
positivity, then you should.
everyone who
Can
is
I get
noticing fear.
can I get a free version of this book?
Absolutely. You go to my website and you download the summary, the
I
free
will
summary.
definitely do that.
So
So Alkistis, like as you started your career as a doctor, then you now doing a motivational speaker.
yeah.
So is it like some situation which you told us about, you were teaching and then you ended up becoming a motivation speaker, or it was somewhere in your back of your mind you want to do this kind of thing as well in your future?
Well, you know, it transformed from teaching leadership training to executives. Then I created my own method and I began to offer it to the public or online as well, online courses. Um, yeah, I just wanted to move away from the basic material because all these leadership training, they're copy paste. Everybody's copy pasting. I wanted to have my original method based in Greek philosophy. So I think, you know, one thing brings another. You know, when you're on your path, when you've chosen a path, you discover things along the way, and it's okay to transform. You know, you're never the person you were 10 years ago. You're learning, you're growing. So your path, you know, constantly brings you new opportunities, new invitations. The point is to be in the game, you know, to start even with your little foot, to be in the game, to make that leap and choose the direction. Once you're in the direction, then opportunities come.
So as Greece is known for country for the birth of democracy, I would say that. So, and nowadays most of the countries have implemented democracy in their countries, but still there are some of the countries who are still running on the king rule. So what you want to say for those countries?
Well, you know, that's one reason I created my method, because democracy starts with inner freedom. Democracy is you know, for the freedom to vote, the freedom to speak, the freedom to publicize. It's all about freedom. And but the first democracy starts with yourself. When you are able to remove the inner dictator. We all have like an inner tyrant, an inner dictator, the one who is toxic. So when we work on our inner democracy, then you can more easily create democracy outside. That's one reason that Greece was the birthplace of democracy. There was freedom of thinking. There was free thinking. And when people are free inside, they naturally want democracy in their country and they want to vote and express themselves. So it's all about inner freedom, inner democracy.
That's a really good thing you told us today, and I think all those countries who are not into the like kind of a democratic country these days, they should also give a chance to their people to have a free thought, free mind. They should not worried
It
about
all starts
king.
with us. It starts with us, with you and me. When you can free yourself from your inner dictator, the guy who gets angry and throws things, the guy who can't control his nerves, you see, that's your inner tyrant, your inner monster. And you have to be able to clear him and tame him, to tame our inner dictator, to tame him by free thinking, by thinking outside our usual thinking. One way to do this is to imagine someone who you admire. And you can say, now, how would that person handle this situation that I'm in? How would, I don't know who you admire, maybe you admire some famous politician or famous actor, and maybe you admire that they have a lightness of being, a sense of humor. So that's what you can do. You can adopt his or her way of thinking to free yourself.
The
There's
positive
many.
things which we feel like, yes, there is a positivity in that person, and we should we can you implement those things in our life.
How would she think, or how would he think in this situation? You know, especially if you feel you have you're like stuck and frustrated. You can say, well, you know, what would Gandhi do in this situation? Gandhi would probably smile, send love to that person, send understanding to that person. And Gandhi, for example, would be calm in probably any situation, any difficult situation. So I take people like Gandhi or like Nelson Mandela or anyone you admire, you know, and you think, well, what would they do in this situation? Because these people were free inside. They're free,
Amazing.
infinitely free.
Yeah, that's a thanks for sharing your thoughts on this. And as you have mentioned earlier, you have trained some VIP clients like Russia Prime Minister Putin and Hollywood star Kevin Costner, and many
Yes.
more. So please share your experience when you work with those politicians or Hollywood stars.
My experience with them, well, they're like people like everybody else. They have insecurities, fears, um, a, a lot of fear, probably more fear than you and me. The only difference is that they do things despite their fear. You know, they're like, it's like, be afraid, but do it anyway. So these people have just dared to move ahead despite their fear.
So,
But there's a lot of insecurities like addictions. There's a lot of addiction in Hollywood. And usually that stems from a feeling of not being worthy. They try to destroy their image because they don't believe in their image. So, you know, you have a lot of addiction issues, drug addiction, usually because they reach success very fast. They have a lot of money and they don't feel worthy of that money because they look at everybody else who's working 9 to 5, hard jobs, hard work, and they're like, I made this money, it's too easy. So they try to, there's a part in them that self-sabotages and they go to addiction, you know, like many examples where they go to addiction. So we deal with self-love. We help them to love themselves, to accept themselves, to do philanthropy and good deeds. And this lessens their anxiety and helps them manage their stress. But they're people like everybody else. All those VIPs you see, all the CEOs, you know, they're afraid of their wife too. They're afraid of their mother-in-law. They all got issues, you know,
so
and
do you felt like they are very grounded kind of, or you felt very difficult to get connected with them?
no, usually it's someone they come to me from by recommendation. Someone has recommended my work, or maybe they've seen my videos. They like my style, and so you just treat them like any other client. No,
So would you like to train our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, as well one day?
I would love to. Sure, I would love to.
So,
Anything for
have you heard
happiness.
about him in
Of course, I've
Greece?
heard of him. Sure, sure. I've heard of him. Everybody knows him,
Even
and
Trump government in United States is also following his slogan "Ab ki bar Trump Sarkar." Have you heard about it?
about what?
About a slogan for the election campaigning by Trump, Donald Trump, who is campaigning for the next president
Yes.
elections, and he's
Make
using one of the
great.
slogan
That,
by Mr. Modi, "Ab ki bar Trump Sarkar."
is that right? Okay. Well, they get they learn from each other.
Okay.
The point is they have a lot of stress, they have huge responsibilities. Some people think they're gods, other people think they're the devil. You know, you can't please everyone.
Right.
Even Gandhi, someone like Gandhi, he had his enemies to the point of assassinating him. So that's something that we can learn, that you
Yeah.
can't please everyone. You know, you have to follow your values, your truth. You have to serve what you believe in, and there will be people who will be criticizing you. You know, you can't get upset
Right.
with that.
Yeah, there is a very famous quote I have heard about. If you
Mhm.
want to please everyone, then don't be a leader, then sell ice cream, by
Exactly.
Steve Jobs.
Yes. Steve Jobs, I can mention Aristotle, the Greek philosopher. He said, you know, there's only one way to avoid criticism: say nothing, do nothing, be nothing, you
Yeah,
know, and
we
no
should
one's
ignore it.
criticized. Yeah,
So
because
according to you, the three golden principle of Greek philosophy.
so the three golden principles that I teach in my method is more like a filtering system. It's a filtering system, and so you have a thought that is frustrating you. For example, um, you think to yourself. The first question you ask yourself is about ethos. Ethos is the Greek word, which is the root of the word ethic. So you have to be truthful with yourself and look at your own thoughts and say, is that thought that I had true? Is it true? Because oftentimes we lie to ourselves. We dramatize. We dramatize. We make dramatic statements in our mind. We have these dramatic narratives, or these, it's about the narrative you tell yourself. You have to pass it through the filter of ethos and ask yourself, this narrative that I'm keep telling myself when my wife upsets me or when my boss upsets me, is it true? Or am I being dramatic right now? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. And it's the most important question. Am I lying to myself? Maybe I'm taking things too personally. Hmm? So it's that ability to remove yourself and look at yourself and look at the lies you're telling, because it's the lies we tell ourselves that are upsetting us. It's not what the other person is doing. It's we have the power to change our narrative. So in that situation, you can say, she's not a terrible person. She's just afraid. That's why she's speaking to me like that. What did I do to frighten her? She's just as frightened as you are. And when you reach your hand out and bring in love and understanding, you can solve the difficulties, because there's a frightened child in the other person too. So that's the first principle, being truthful, especially to ourselves, not lying to ourselves. That's where all the misery begins. It's how we're seeing things. So ethos is the first and most important principle. The second principle is pathos. Pathos is the Greek word, which is the root of the word passion, the English word passion. And pathos is, it's like a horse, you know, it's like a horse. You have to control it, you have to manage it. But you can also channel this energy, channel the pathos, give it direction. So it's about knowing your emotions and finding out what is your why. What is the why? Why are you doing this interview? What is it that drives you? What is your deeper wish? What is your dream? That all has to do with your passion, your pathos. And the third principle is logos. Logos is the Greek root of the word logic and reason. And this is something we have to keep applying: logic, reason, scientific evidence, case studies. It's about common sense, you know. Someone said common sense is not so common. So when we apply logic and reason to any problem, and we apply our pathos, which includes our imagination, our feelings, if we balance these forces like two horses, imagine yourself to be like a charioteer. You're ruling these two horses.
Amazing.
You can
Thanks for
always have
sharing.
a
Uh,
balanced life with those.
that's a very beneficial for the viewers as well as for myself as well. Thank you, Alkistis, for sharing those
My
thoughts.
pleasure.
So,
My
do you
pleasure.
watch Hollywood or Bollywood movies more? Have you
I
any?
watch Bollywood, but I like some Bollywood movies. I do watch Bollywood, especially
Which
when
one
I'm
you have
alone.
seen till now?
I
Anyone?
don't remember the titles, but I can tell you they're excellent. Bollywood is same level as Hollywood, same level. I don't see. I mean, you've got great movies from Bollywood, good movies from Hollywood. I mean, Bollywood. I mean, it's same level, and this is amazing. The, the stellar improvement and change from Indian movies. I love
This
Indian
is the
movies.
next question which I will ask you. The answer, if you can keep short and like more precisely towards the answer, question. So, accordingly, you can see to it.
Sure.
So, if the person doesn't have good leadership skills, and like sometimes in youth, it has to be seen like they don't have good leadership skills, but they want to develop it to lead an
Mhm.
organization or lead a team
Mhm.
or lead a state if there are youth leader. So what you suggest for those youth?
I suggest my system, my book, Fear to Freedom. It's about self leadership because you see, you can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. If you have anger management issues, if you have stress management issues, how do you expect other people to follow you? If you can't calm your own nerves, how do you expect to calm the nerves of others? How do you expect to inspire other people if you don't have your stuff together? So the first leadership is self leadership. And I think all wise people agree to that. Work on your own anger management, your own stress management. The other thing is to know what you want. Follow your dreams. Really follow your line. Don't listen to other people. You have to follow your passion and your talents, because like Einstein said, if you are a fish and they put you on the land, you can't swim. But in the water, you're great. You can do flips, you can swim, you're in your natural environment. So one of the keys to happiness and to success is to find the environment and the profession that reflects your passion and your talent. So you're on the right path, then you're just improving on that path. And that inspires confidence. Other people look at you and they're like, he's happy, so he's confident. He's confident, happiness, then other people follow you when you're well. So
Amazing.
it's all about personal development. You can't be a leader if you're not able to lead yourself and if you're not in the right profession for yourself. So again, I have to recommend my book because it really helps you
We
figure.
have done lots of marketing of your book today.
Right. It helps them to figure out. There's exercises in this book, and it helps you to figure out. And another skill is presentation skills. Again, I talk about my book in my book. Practice presentation skills, like what you're doing now with a video. Then you're able to look at the video and reflect on your body language, reflect on the way you're speaking, and you learn from these videos. So I would recommend for all our friends to open some kind of YouTube channel
I
and
will,
talk about things that they like. When you talk about the things you like, you're learning them at the same time. And then you use the video to reflect on your communication skills. Communication skills is the mark of a leader. It's not the diplomas you're going to get from universities. It's not, whether it says doctor, PhD. No, it's your communication skills. People who have good communication skills, who are good listeners, and who can present ideas, they are leaders. They have the other people work for them, you see. They might not know as much as the people who work for them, but they're good communicators. They can motivate people, they inspire people. So work on your communication skills. So it's inner work and outer work. Don't focus only on the outer work. A lot of people, they go to speaking classes and, it's good, but you have to also figure out what is your passion. What do you love to, how are you here to serve? Who are you serving? And why is it so important to you? You have to know these. These are questions you really have to ask yourself. That's why my book, it's a workbook, And when you have these answers, then you naturally are confident. You don't have to, there's no techniques to pretend to be confident. You become confident naturally when you've done the inner work.
Sure. Thank you so much, Alkistis, for giving us an overview about the leadership and how a youth can increase their leadership skills. And it was a really great session with you. And we have learned a lots of things, including myself. I will definitely read that book. And everyone who wants to do something good in their life and not able to find the path, watch this video and read her book, Fear to Freedom. You will definitely get something better in your life. And thanks us later.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.
Before ending this session, can you please request our viewers to subscribe and share this video as much as they can, as well as in India and Greece?
Please support this channel. They're doing great work. They're doing great interviews, and they have a bright future ahead. So you should really subscribe to this channel. They're going to provide great material for you in the future. Stick to this tribe. It's a good tribe. It's a positive tribe.
Thank you so much, Alkistis. It was my honor interviewing you today.
Stay in touch. Keep in touch.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Goodbye for now. Bye-bye.